Alright, so here is a quick and thorough guide on how to install a radio in your, I believe, 96 2011 Panther body with stipulations for 96 2002. My car is a 97, so here's some good resources for that. The stipulation being a 96 to, I believe, 2002 will not fit a full double-din unit because of the AC duct that's behind the unit. The update is for 2003. You can swap in a 2003 duct into your car, but it is a lot of work, and you could do some manipulations to get that to work, but I will show that in just a moment, and why I didn't really want to do that to this car, to butcher it to get a full double-din unit. So, first things first, about the whole stipulation here. So, as you can see with this radio, and I'll explain how to get this out in just a second, it is a 1-din unit, basically. So, you can't fit a full double-din unit in this because of the AC duct that's back here, which is this right here. This sticks down about maybe 1/4 of an inch, if that, into the unit, and it will hit up here and it won't fit. Again, you can swap in a 2003 duct, but that requires taking the whole dashboard off, and that's just a major pain. I have seen some people, I haven't seen pictures really, but I've seen some people talk about cutting this, and then, or either heating it up and then trying to push it with a 2x4 to push it up a little bit. But I didn't want to butcher this car, and I really didn't want to risk breaking something because this isn't a project car for me. This is just a daily driver. So I was like, all right. And that was a mistake I made for this car. I had a 2003 previously, and I was like, okay, I have a double-din unit. Let me put it in this car. And unfortunately, it doesn't fit, so I had to buy a different one. So the only unit you're going to be able to buy that's going to fit in this car is either A, you can get a really, really shallow double-din unit. As you can see, there's about maybe an inch of distance. But the method I went with is I decided to get a radio that's doubled-in the front, singled-in the back. And it has to be singled-in on the bottom, obviously. Now, my Jeep over there is the exact opposite. It has the same problem where there's a ducting underneath the radio. So the doubled-in has to be above on the top. Anyways, back to this car. So again, I got this radio. This is a great radio, actually, for this car. It is a Pioneer DMH-C2500NEX. There's 2550 now available, which has wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. That's basically the only difference, I believe, versus this one, which is wired. And personally, I prefer the wired because it charges my phone and I don't have to fiddle with it. But this is a really great radio for this. I recommend it. I got it used for 170 bucks. So it's really good. The only thing I had to do was, as you can see, I had to trim this cage because it comes with a cage that's designed for full double-din unit trim panels if you need it. I also bought this Metra kit, 955817, and as you can see, I also had to trim that because it would for a full double-din car, because this is not just for Panther bodies. But as you can see, I made it match the profile of the other radio, and this fits great. So, how to get this radio out. You can see these little tabs here that stick out on Ford's mounting system. You cannot cut these off, otherwise this mounting kit will not work. So these tabs hook into this radio right here, and there is a Ford tool that exists. They're like maybe 12 bucks. I didn't feel like buying one, so I just took an old coat hanger with some thick wire, cut it up, pushed it in there, and I rotated this a little, or bent these a little bit so I could pull the radio out. So you literally just shove these in. As you can see, it's going to be a lot of resistance, at least for this one. These really thick coat hanger was. It's a lot of resistance. You push it in, it'll go in pretty far, as you can see, and then you can just pull the radio out. It's actually really easy. But in order to get this double-din unit to fit, there's another lip here and up here. There's a lip up on the top, and on the bottom you have to cut off. Some people, if they're not using this kit, they'll just trim it until the radio will slide through and not rattle around. I just cut mine completely off because I'm using this kit. So I cut the bottom lip off and the top lip off. I actually filed these a little bit to make it easier for this radio to be pulled out. As you can see, there's little clips that once this radio's in, these hold it in. So I kind of filed the edge of the lip inside so that way it can more easily come out. So just play with it, and then you'll eventually get it to fit right. So that's basically it for that. So on to actually installing this and getting this apart. I'm going to start from scratch. So the first thing you do is on these trim panels here, these just pop off. And the way you do that is you open the door, you come to this corner, and then you do the same thing on the passenger side, and you just pull forward. And since I've already unbolted this, it's going to be a little bit more pain because it clips into both. And then it just pops off, and then there's an electrical connector back there. Done. Then you do the exact same thing for the other side, and you work your way in, applying even pressure. It's going to feel like it's not going to come, and it feel like it's going to break, but if you just apply a little bit more, it'll just pop right off. Really easy. The next step is to get this bezel off here. So to do that, you start on this side. Oh, first thing, you have to put your car in first gear. As you can see, I've already done that. Put your car in first gear. Starting from this side, let me put this back because this would be bolted in, but you pull this side forward. As you can see, don't try to pull it down here. It won't happen. It's not going to come. And it's a really sharp lip up here. And as you can see, I actually left a groove in my finger from it. So don't try to pull this down up here first. Come from this side, work your fingers in, pull it forward, pops right out. Then take this corner here, boom, comes right out. Super easy. Then you can have two electrical connectors. One right here with a clip right where my finger would be, and then the gray clip back there, and the clip, the button is on the bottom. So I took a very light butter knife, and I just pushed the clip with my finger, and then use my other hand to push the clip out. It's really easy. I just used a butter knife because I didn't feel like finding my trim tools. It's whatever. So, oh, also, these have, I don't remember what size it is, but there's a few bolts, just unbolt it, they come right out. And it's these bolts right here. Just like that. So, you take this out. It's going to be a little bit more difficult one-handed than it looks, but you also have to squish this a little bit to get it down. Then you can pull it forward. Just like so. Sorry, it's a little more difficult with one hand. Okay. Then, to get it over the steering wheel, just put it on the steering wheel with that, rotate it. Boom, off. All done. Now you have access to your wires, and you can have a better view of that duct back there. So, then you just do all your wiring, you know, follow the manual. It's all usually pretty standard. All the colors and whatever are all the same. I also purchased, I'll put it in the description, I don't remember what number it is. So there's two different ones you can get, one with a premium stereo, one without. Apparently, these will have like an auto set button or something, and that determines which speaker system you have, because one's 4-speaker, one's 6-speaker. That's the only difference. So the plug will just have 2 extra slots or something. I don't remember. So you just have to figure out which one you have, and then you can get that. Alright, so now moving into how to get this back together. Again, as I talked about, you should already have all that trimming done on there, and you should be good to go. So, to get it back together, just do the reverse, rotate it over the steering wheel, just like so. And then, first, before you push this in, you want to redo these 2 connectors, which I can almost do one-handed now at this point. Just take it. Actually, you want to do the bottom one first, because it has a little bit of a longer lead than the top one. So you do the bottom one first. Just boom, clipped in. And then the top one. Boom, clipped in. Now you can put this back. Just pull your wires through on here. That way they don't get caught and it's not going to be in the way. So now you just squish this down a little bit to get it. Oh, and you got to line these vents up. You can see right there. Oh, I'll show that right there better. Line the vents up, rotate it. Boom, boom. All right, now just push forward, and it'll just kind of click into place, just like that. And now you're done. Then you just put these screws back in, but I'm gonna do that off camera because I don't feel like boring you guys. And now you just have to slide this radio in. So I'm gonna get onto the center seat here, get this radio out of the way, this trim panel out of the way, because I think it's easier to do in the center seat. And then you're gonna hook all this stuff up, and I'm gonna do it off camera because I need 2 hands to do it. All right, so I have everything connected now. I got my USB cable, antenna, and then my clip. And for my scenario, it made easier to put the antenna below all the other wires. As you can see, this one's below this one. Because what we have to do, and the reason why I think a single DIN is still the best option over trying to modify that to get this to fit, is because when you put this radio in, you really need to basically shove all your wires on the top of this, because there's not a whole lot of room in there behind the radio, as you can see. The radio does stick back pretty far, so you really need to use a single DIN unit, in my opinion, or one of those really shallow double DINs. Trying to fit a full double DIN in here, it just sucks. Again, I did it on that 2003, and it really took a while to get it to fit. So, all I do now is, again, like I said, I put my wires, try and get my wires up on top here, and then I can put it in. Again, I kind of have to do that off camera. I'll try and show it as best as I can, but let me do that real quick. So I just see I kind of have my wires trying to be tucked on top of the radio. Now I should just be able to push this in. So we'll be able to just push it in, like so. And with this Metra kit, these bolts kind of rub sometime, or it really needs to be put in straight, otherwise these bolts, or screws I should say, will hit the lip. So you really got to put this in straight. Otherwise it won't really work. There we go, just like that. Now you just push the radio in, slowly but surely. See, I'm having trouble with it, so let me fiddle with it for a second. Alright, so I fixed it, and ended up being one of the wires came down below, behind the radio instead of on top of it, and that's why it wouldn't go in. It does not take a lot of force to get this in. So you'll get to this point, and be like, okay, I got the screws through. Now it's time to get the first set of clips in, because the lower and the upper go in first, and then the last middle clip clicks. So you'll kind of feel it. It's going to be difficult. You might have to, like, give it some momentum. It's really hard to do one-handed. There we go. And see, that's the first click. And then that's the second click. I really hope I could get that on camera, but now this radio is installed and we are good to go. Now, all we have to do is put these trim panels back on, and then this car is done. As for if you have wired Android Auto, I found there's a kind of a spot you can go pull the wire down through. I'm probably going to redo this and add a microphone at some point. I also need to replace this piece because I messed it up trying to cut that lip off, but I just wanted to demonstrate this because there's not a whole lot of information really easily readily available for the earlier cars about this whole duct thing, and that this kit is really, really good. One last thing I wanted to mention, this Metra kit also has a little lower bar that goes across here that fills this little gap. That's all. But I just haven't put it in yet. So, yeah, that's the pretty much best way I've found to install one of these radios. I hope this helps somebody. Thanks.